Coxie, how desperately do you need Daniel Kerr back in the midfield?
Certainly Kerry's a really important part of this side and a great clearance player. I think it's Woosh will sit down and speak to Kerry about how he thought he went on the weekend and whether he's ready to have an impact at AFL level. He might need another week or two in the waffle. Only Kerry knows that. He knows how he felt on the weekend against East Fremantle. But yeah, the sooner he gets back and the sooner he's back fit and match fit is going to be a huge asset for the footy club.
What do you think his response will be if Wooshy goes to him and says, do you think you're right to go?
Don't know, after his first half he might say that he needs another couple of weeks in the waffle, but you know, he worked his way into the game, which is certainly what the club are after, and he got enough minutes. And yeah, Kerry wants to play footy, and he wants to play footy for this football club as soon as possible.
It is Melbourne this week, and they've come off 2 shocking losses. Can you afford to take a Daniel Kerr into the game, playing 60, 70 minutes, or being a sub? Yeah,
no, I don't think you can go into any AFL game knowing that they can only play 60 minutes. If an injury occurs, if the sub has to come on early and players are required to play 100 minutes, so you can't, if they know they can only do 60 minutes, they're going to get found out. And if the game does go down to the wire, you need as many fit players as possible towards the end of the game. So I presume the decision will be made purely on whether Daniel can get through a full game, not knowing he's going to go in and play 40, 50 minutes at either stage or either end of the ground.
Coxie, have you got a time in mind when Nic Nat might be back? Have you got any idea?
No, I think it all depends on how his increased training load goes in the next couple of weeks. So we want Nick back, we want Kerr back, Rosa, Wellingham. We want them back as soon as possible because they are starting 18 players. They're good, consistent AFL footballers, and hopefully it's as soon as possible because we're not in a stage now where we can let too many more games slip if we want to get to what we set out for.
How much easier will it make your job when he comes back?
Yeah, certainly a lot easier, I think. The relationship me and Nick had, sharing the ruck load, probably doing 50-50 each, as well as being able to rest forward and provide an option down forward was something that really excited us and played our role for the footy team. And on the weekend I thought Cal was really good. Really competed hard in the ruck, gave some options up forward, had a couple of shots on goal. So, but yeah, Nick does bring certainly that class.
Because you can't wax at the moment, how much have you altered your game, your personal game?
Yeah, probably a little bit. You're just required to do more ruck contests than I probably was last year. You're up around 80 contests a game now compared to, probably 50. So just, yeah, probably towards the end of the game, the fatigue starts to set in a little bit more, but, hopefully you're playing on a bloke in a similar position as well and you can try and exploit it that way.
How do you feel physically after the games? Is it a bit more to recover, given that extra workload?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Certainly being a little bit older doesn't help as well. But, yeah, no, it's just the job we got to do and do the best and hopefully start winning games of footy.
That kick at goal could have probably changed the match and bring it up. But was it more tiredness maybe because you've been working a little bit harder?
No, I wouldn't say it was tiredness. I certainly had enough time to get my breath back and make sure I just go through my routine. Didn't really want to start it just outside the right post, but that's where it went and didn't come back in enough time. Wish I was sort of 45 metres out. It might have come back by then, but yeah, no, and that's it. Like we were in positions throughout the game where we could have really challenged them, and then they'd get 1 or 2 quick ones and blow it back out to 30 points. So, yeah, ideally I wish I kicked it.
It was like one on. They really smashed you in the last quarter, though, didn't they? They really powered over the top. Were you surprised, given the short break and all that hotness, that this is how well they were going?
Yeah, they're a good footy side. I think probably the way they get the goals in the last quarter, a lot of them were quite easy, sort of uncontested goals all the way from even if it was a half-back turnover for them right through to the forward line. I think, that's something we focus on. We think we're a very hard-running football team, and Hawthorn just certainly outplayed us in that last quarter and put on eight goals, which is not ideal.
Dean, what do you say to people who say no Nic Naitanui, no West Coast?
I haven't really heard it too many times, but I suppose the more you lose, and he's really important to the footy club. I think certainly what he can bring around centre bounces, around stoppages is what no other ruckman can bring in a game of football. I think his hit out to advantage percentage is really high, and can create and probably put opposition sides on the back foot from the start. I think that's probably the biggest thing, and but there's a lot more factors about us not winning games than Nic playing. I think obviously those inside 50s, if we can get them right up, even though we're still winning clearances, I think that's probably the biggest thing, because you've got Josh and players like that can really mark the footy and put scoreboard pressure on.
Why do you think your clearances around the ground seem to be okay, but the centre bounce clearances appear to be where opposition teams are really getting field position?
Yeah, I think, well, certainly on the weekend we win centre clearances 19-18, but I think they probably got them inside 50 a lot deeper than what we did. And then the way the game of footy's played now is that they can really start to set up their zone, or really press the other side in and try and get rebound, like repeat inside 50s. So I think that's something that we've got to look at. We seem to be getting the clearances probably to the half-forward line, and that's about it at the minute. So we worked a bit on it last week after Fremantle in that third quarter, and we'll continue to do it. So we can make the most of the opportunities we do get, because at the minute they're not going in right in deep side 50.
Can I ask you about your form? We always start asking people this question at your age.
Mm-hmm.
We're used to you being sort of the best ruckman in the competition. That's the way it's been for 7 or 8 years. How would you assess your start to the season?
Start's just been okay. Certainly wouldn't rave about it. I wouldn't think I've been poor either. I think, both games I've played, I've probably squared with my opposition. I think, but yeah, having said that, I'd like to have a lot more of an impact on a game. So that's what I'll try and do, the weeks go in.
But that 30 extra contests you have to get to, that's extraordinary, isn't it, really, in the game? And you're used to doing 50 and doing 80.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That doesn't. I suppose the more contests you can get to, the more chance you have of an impact of a game. You can look at it that way as well. So, just try and really, I suppose, really dictate the ruck when I get the opportunity to, and then, try and spread around the ground and push forward and kick goals. That's probably been, I've had 2 shots on goal. I'd like a little bit more at the minute.
Is that when Nic's absence really bites? Do you think you guys kicked 52 or 53 goals between you last year? I can't remember 2 ruckmen doing that ever. The fact that your midfield and Nic's not there, it's almost like another power forward has gone out of the forward line. How much does that affect the team structure? I suppose it affects it a little bit if you take away that amount of goals. I think, and that was probably the improvement that I showed the last couple of years, and Nic's shown as well, is when we aren't in the ruck, we can go forward and rest and have an impact and shots on goal. So I think, it certainly helps when we're down there if we're trying to stretch opposition defences. Jack might end up on someone that's not an ideal matchup for Jack, that might be beneficial for me, or vice versa. So you can try and exploit one-on-one situations. And, at the minute, although, Cal has a couple of shots on goal, kicks one, and probably was unlucky not to have another shot as well. So, if we're having 4 shots on goal between both ruckmen and resting in a pocket as well, you'd take that any other week.
As a team, can you gauge how far away you think you are from getting that best form back?
Yeah, no, I don't think you can gauge. I think we've certainly come up against two very good football teams, and we've fallen short. We've realised we're not playing our best footy, and we have to make sure that we get back to that as quickly as possible. This week it has to happen. You can't say, oh yeah, our best footy's good enough, we'll get back to it. We've just got to do it now. I think that's probably the most important thing, is that we've got to get back to playing the brand of football we've been known to play the last couple of years, and we haven't started that way, and the players are aware of it and will address it.
Because you obviously can't give the other teams too much of a head start in terms of trying to make a top 4 spot.
Oh yeah, certainly. I think I think Hawthorn lost both first 2 rounds last year, and then get on a run. I think this group's certainly good enough to do that, but we've got to make sure that we put the work in to be able to do it.